Harold, 80 years old, lived alone in a small, quiet wooden house in Ohio. Every morning he would wake up at 6 a.m., quietly head down to the kitchen and brew himself a strong cup of coffee, just like he had done for decades. He didn't eat breakfast, preferring the peace and quiet. That morning, as Harold sat at the table with his steaming cup of coffee, he suddenly collapsed onto the floor. At the hospital, it was determined he had suffered a stroke caused by circulatory insufficiency, a result of not drinking water, not moving his body, standing up too quickly, and ignoring his body's warning signs. What seemed like an ordinary morning, with habits that appeared harmless, became the final chapter of his life. And the heartbreaking truth is, this applies to so many elderly people today. It wasn't just an accident, it was a gentle warning for those who are still alive. Today, we're going to explore 7 morning habits that older adults should avoid in order not to fall into the same tragic pattern as Harold. Not to create fear, but to choose love, to start each new day with more hope. Please stay with me until the end of this video, because what you read might help someone stay with their family for many more years. I used to think I was doing everything right. Every morning, I would wake up, make a cup of coffee, and sit by the window. That routine made me feel alive, awake. But I didn't realize that, in that quiet moment, I was slowly hurting my heart, little by little. Many older adults like me or like Harold don't drink water right after waking up, partly because we don't feel thirsty, and partly because we believe coffee, tea, or juice is enough. But the reality is very different. After a long night, our bodies enter a mildly dehydrated state. This makes the blood thicker, forces the circulatory system to work harder, and puts more strain on the heart to pump blood throughout the body. For younger people, the body may compensate somewhat. But after the age of 70, even the smallest deficiencies can lead to serious consequences. I still remember a comment from an older woman who shared that she used to feel dizzy every morning when she got out of bed. She thought it was just old age. But after starting the habit of drinking a glass of warm water before getting out of bed, that dizziness disappeared. Just one glass of water, and it was like she regained balance in both her body and her mind. Imagine your heart, after a night of rest, suddenly being jolted awake and forced to work twice as hard, even though it hasn't been hydrated, hasn't been softened. That is not how you should start your day, especially when you've lived more than 7 decades of life. The good news is, it's never too late to change. You don't need to drink a liter of water right away. Just one small glass of water, warm if possible, within 10 to 15 minutes of waking up. Let your body welcome the morning with care. If you need to take medication in the morning, water helps your body absorb the medicine more effectively and reduces strain on your stomach, liver, and kidneys. And if you still want your morning coffee, let water go first, like a friend paving the way. I know this may sound small, but it's often the smallest things that help you stay longer with your grandchildren, with the people you love. If you're still watching at this point, share with me, what did you drink first thing this morning? A glass of water, or a habit you now feel might need to change? Write it down. I'm listening to you. I used to be someone who always started the day by jumping out of bed, as if nothing would get going unless I moved quickly, stepped quickly, walked quickly. But one time I stood up like usual, and my legs couldn't keep up. I stumbled. Everything spun. And just seconds later, I was on the floor, my forehead hitting the edge of the bed. Luckily, I only had a minor bruise. But that moment changed how I think, and I realized that many older adults are doing the same thing each morning, standing up too fast before their body is truly ready. After a night of lying down, blood circulation slows. Blood pressure tends to drop slightly. If you suddenly sit up and immediately stand, your body can lose balance for a moment. This can lead to dizziness, blurred vision, or worse, a fall. I once read a comment from a 79-year-old man. He said that each morning, he sits up, takes a few deep breaths, places both feet on the ground, and keeps his eyes closed for 30 seconds before standing. Ever since he started doing that, he no longer feels dizzy or trips. More importantly, his mornings have become much more pleasant and gentle. There's no need to rush. After 70, slowing down is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom and self-respect. Give your body 1 minute to reconnect with the world after sleep. Stretch, roll your shoulders, take a deep breath, then let your feet touch the floor. It's not a waste of time, it's an investment in a day free of falls, pain, or hospital visits. If you have issues with blood pressure, heart conditions, or have experienced a fall before, this is something you absolutely should not overlook. Don't let one rushed minute change the rest of your life. If you've ever felt dizzy when getting up in the morning, leave a comment. What helped you get through it? Your story could be a guiding light for someone else. There's one thing many older adults do every morning, diligently and responsibly, but it can quietly pose a serious risk. Taking medication first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. I used to do that. I kept a pill box on my bedside table. Every morning I would reach for it, take my meds with a small sip of water, and begin the day. I thought I was doing the right thing. But then came the dizziness, the nausea, the discomfort in my stomach. I thought it was just aging. Until one morning, I collapsed in the bathroom, hit my shoulder on the sink, and was diagnosed with low blood pressure. The doctor asked me, "When was the last time you ate breakfast before taking your medication?" I couldn't remember, and that was the problem. After age 70, the stomach becomes more sensitive, and the liver and kidneys function more slowly. Taking medication on an empty stomach, especially blood pressure meds, pain relievers, or thyroid medications, can greatly increase the risk of stomach irritation and sudden drops in blood pressure. Some medications only work effectively when taken with food to aid absorption. I remember a woman in our senior support group once shared that her mother took her blood pressure meds faithfully every morning, but she often ate very late. One day, she felt lightheaded, unsteady on her feet, and collapsed while trying to make breakfast. They didn't realize that taking the medication on an empty stomach was the cause of her sudden drop in blood pressure. So what's the solution? If your medication needs to be taken with food, make sure you eat at least a small piece of bread, a banana, a few crackers, or a light snack. If it's a medication that must be taken on an empty stomach, like some thyroid meds, be sure not to rush afterward. Sit still, monitor your body, and avoid moving too quickly. And most importantly, ask your doctor or pharmacist whether your medications have specific instructions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Your health deserves attention to every small detail. After that fall, I made a change. I placed a small snack next to my pill box and reminded myself, nourish your body before treating it. And strangely enough, just that small change made my mornings more comfortable. No more dizzy spells. Do you take morning medication? And what do you usually eat before taking it? If you've experienced any reactions after taking medication, share your story in the comments. Your experience might help someone else avoid a painful fall. I used to think that if I wasn't hungry, I didn't need breakfast. My body was used to it. A cup of coffee, a few sips of water, that was enough. But then I started feeling exhausted just a few steps into my morning. My legs grew weaker, my memory slowed, and morning, rather than being a fresh start, became a series of weary moments. I know many older adults feel the same. They don't feel hungry in the morning or prefer to spend their time in silence, meditating, reading the Bible, or walking through the garden. But there's one uncomfortable truth. Skipping breakfast after 70 is like driving a car without filling the gas tank, then being surprised when it stalls halfway. Your body, especially your brain and muscles, needs to be refueled after a long night without food. After 70, blood sugar levels can drop faster. Muscle mass decreases rapidly if you don't supply enough protein and essential nutrients. And your brain, which is especially sensitive to physiological changes, can respond with sluggishness, fatigue, or even mild confusion in the morning. I remember Ruth, a 76-year-old woman I met in an online group. She shared that she loved her quiet mornings, sipping only a cup of coffee, but she often stumbled while walking and felt inexplicably tired. After a checkup, the doctor found she had muscle loss and signs of glucose imbalance, all because she had been skipping breakfast for years. You don't need to cook a lavish meal. A boiled egg, a few slices of whole grain bread, a small yogurt, or a simple bowl of oatmeal is enough to awaken your entire metabolism. If you're on medication, breakfast can also reduce side effects. An empty stomach absorbs medicine too quickly, causing fatigue, dizziness, and discomfort. On the other hand, having a food buffer helps your body absorb medication more gently and sustainably. Coffee may make you feel alert, but it doesn't nourish your body. It's like a temporary jolt. Then you crash into deeper fatigue without real energy replenishment. Look at breakfast not just as a routine, but as an act of kindness toward yourself. It's a small message you send to your body saying, "I care about you. I want you to have enough strength to live fully today." What did you have for breakfast this morning? If you usually skip breakfast, or if you have a favorite simple breakfast, share it with me. Maybe your advice will inspire someone else who's just starting to make a change. Some mornings, I wake up feeling a bit of tightness in my chest, a strange pressure I can't explain. I often tell myself, it's probably from sleeping in a bad position, or maybe I'm just a little tired. And then I carry on with my day as if nothing happened. But after age 70, no sensation is random. The body no longer whispers meaningless messages. Mild shortness of breath, chest pressure, dull pain in the shoulders or arms, these could all be early warning signs from the heart, lungs, or brain. I remember Glenn, 72 years old, an old friend. One morning, he woke up feeling a slight heaviness in his chest. Not pain, just a gentle pressure. He still made toast, brewed tea, and tried to brush off the feeling. An hour later, he collapsed in the living room. Glenn was lucky to survive, but the doctor said if he had called just 30 minutes earlier, the outcome would have been much better. You see, our bodies are always trying to communicate with us, but when we ignore it, it will speak louder, sometimes through pain, sometimes through sudden collapse. Morning is the most sensitive time for the heart. Blood pressure rises, blood becomes thicker, and the nervous system is still adjusting from a restful state to active mode. This is why more heart attacks and strokes happen in the early morning than at any other time of the day. If you feel a slight tightness in the chest, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing while walking, dizziness or a sense of disorientation, or even just unusual fatigue with no clear reason, do not ignore it. Sit down, breathe slowly, call someone, or go to a medical facility if the feeling doesn't pass after a few minutes. I once read a story from an 81-year-old woman. I survived because I didn't ignore a strange feeling. I called my doctor just because something felt off, and it turned out to be a stroke waiting to happen. Listening to your body is not a sign of weakness. It is the wisdom of someone who has lived. It is an act of respect for life itself, for those who love you, and for you, someone who has weathered many seasons of life. Have you ever experienced an off feeling in the morning that later turned out to be a real warning? Share your story. It could awaken someone who's silently enduring discomfort. I used to believe that just opening my eyes, getting up, and walking a few steps was enough to start my body. But I was wrong. After a long night of lying still, the joints, muscles, and blood circulation are almost frozen. Skipping light morning movement is like starting your day in a sluggish, heavy state, both physically and mentally. I remember that feeling so well. Heavy steps, knees creaking, the sensation that my entire body was straining just to move. And then I met Eleanor, 83 years old, in a gentle yoga class for seniors at the community center. She smiled gently and said, "Every morning I just rotate my shoulders, lift my legs in bed, stretch for 5 minutes, and it feels like my whole body lights up." I followed her routine, and within a week, I no longer felt sluggish in the morning. My lower back pain eased, I walked faster, and most of all, my spirit felt lighter, as if a door had opened inside me. Science agrees too. Just 5 to 10 minutes of light movement after waking up, such as stretching your body, rotating your wrists and ankles, gently bending and stretching your legs while still in bed, taking deep, slow breaths, walking around the room a few times. That's all it takes to activate circulation, deliver more oxygen to the brain, reduce the risk of stroke and falls, and boost your morning mood. After 70, it's natural for the body to become less flexible. But if you allow it to stay motionless every morning, stiffness will build up and turn into illness. On the other hand, if you wake it up with simple movements, you're sending a hopeful signal to every muscle, every joint. I still want to move. I'm still alive and living each day fully. Did you do any gentle movement this morning? Do you have a favorite morning stretch or exercise? Share it with me and others. Maybe your little habit will inspire someone who's feeling weary. What's more familiar than this image? As soon as you open your eyes, your hand reaches for the phone. And then before taking a deep breath, before drinking water, before even setting your feet on the ground, you've already read a negative news headline, a heartbreaking story, or a harsh comment. I used to do that. And I didn't realize that my mind was being poisoned, little by little. That heavy feeling, lack of motivation, unexplained stress, all of it didn't start because I was aging, but because I let negativity enter my mind. Too early. When you're younger, the mind can recover more easily. But after 70, the brain becomes more sensitive to anxiety triggers. Stress hormones like cortisol rise more easily and stay elevated longer, affecting heart health, blood pressure, and sleep quality. I remember a senior who shared during a talk, "I started turning off my phone in the mornings. I only turn it on after I've walked, had breakfast, prayed, and I feel much more peaceful. Since then, I've become selective about what I allow into my mind first thing in the day." Information, even when useful, needs to come at the right time. Don't let your soul, so tender in the early hours, be invaded by anxiety, comparison, or bad news. Instead, dedicate your first few moments to listening to calming music, reading a few uplifting lines, writing a few words of gratitude in your journal, or simply sitting quietly, letting the morning light touch your face. This small choice can make a big difference. It helps you start the day with positive energy, with joy, and with the spirit to live fully for one more day. How do you start your morning? Is there a habit you think you should change to have a more peaceful mind? Share with me. Many people out there are waiting for a gentle suggestion to begin anew. I know that after more than 70 years of life, we are no strangers to pain and loss. But what always touches me is how even the smallest things, like how we wake up each morning, can shape the rest of our lives. A glass of water, a minute of stillness, placing your hand on your chest to feel your heartbeat, a quiet word of gratitude for your body. If we choose to do these things consistently every morning, we don't need miracles. We are the miracle. And we can pass that miracle on to our grandchildren, our aging partners, and to friends waiting for us in the park, in the garden, or through a simple, unexpected phone call. I want to end with a story I'll never forget. An 85-year-old man once wrote, "Every morning, I sit at the edge of my bed, place my hands on my knees and whisper, 'Thank you, because I'm still here.' Then I drink water, stretch, and slowly stand up. The way I start my day has changed how I live the rest of my life." Dear friend, if something has touched you during this video, please don't keep it to yourself. Write it down. Share it with me and with those who are listening alongside you. You are never alone on this journey. What did you learn from today's video? What will you start changing tomorrow morning? Leave a comment below. We're always listening, and your small sharing might just save someone. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Your support helps us continue creating loving content to help older adults live longer, live healthier, and live more fully. See you in the next video, where every morning begins with gentleness. Bookmark,